I'm currently road tripping and traveling, and this made me think about a very important cognitive bias. If you're new here, I'm a professor of psychology and I tell you about metacognition, or thinking about our own thinking. Let's talk about the peak-end rule. The peak-end rule is a mental shortcut that changes how we recall past events. We remember events or judge an experience based on how they felt at peak moments, as well as how they felt at the end, so not just the average experience. The peak-end rule infiltrates our minds in positive and negative ways. Childbirth is an example. Not that I would know anything about that. But here the positive ending detracts from the overall painful experience. So the positive memory of the child being born can take away from the pain experienced throughout the process. That's an example of a positive ending. When we split from someone that we really love, this is an example of a negative ending. So we tend to vividly remember breakup and painful experiences during our relationships, fights, etc., but not so much the overall good time that we had leading up to that, hopefully. Our brains need to simplify memories to save space. But the peak-end rule can be problematic because our memories are very complex in nature. And by simplifying memories, we can misinterpret events, which can lead us to make wrong assumptions and poor decisions. There are different reasons as to why we engage the peak-end rule, and I'm going to talk about them in separate videos. But knowing about the peak-end rule can help us. We can either avoid it or use it to our benefit. In other words, we can craft how our memories are formed. For example, you can try to end on a high note. If you had a very bad day, treat yourself to some ice cream, for example, or a snack. We can also engage in gradual relief. For example, when working out, finish off at a lower intensity. This will make it easier to remember that it was not all that bad. Again, knowing about the peak-end rule is the first step. The more you know.